So today I'm going to be going over the Windows 11 sign-in options that provide, a safer and more secure sign-in that you can utilize at any point on your Windows 11 PC. And a lot of people overlook these methods, and it's just something that can help, your overall security and actually make signing in a lot easier when you're using Windows-related apps. So to begin, what you'd want to do is go over to Settings. Now you can find this on your search bar or simply look it up in the Windows menu itself. And then once you get to Settings, you're going to want to go ahead and click Accounts. Once in Accounts, you'll have to scroll down a little bit and you will find the Account Settings area. Once in the Account Settings area, we can see here we have our info, and then we have the sign-in options. Now this is where we're going to want to head over. You can also add or manage accounts in general if you have multiple accounts that you might need to utilize or other users, but in this case we're just going to discuss the sign-in options, so we're going to go there for now. I will come back because there is an important factor to consider if you have multiple accounts on your PC, but for now we'll just go into the sign-in options. So the first one is facial recognition. This comes with Windows Hello. Windows Hello provides more secure sign-in options that basically make it easier for you to sign in on your computer once it's linked, and it provides the variations such as facial recognition, fingerprint recognition, and PIN. There's also a possibility for you to have a security key, which is probably the most secure overall, but a lot of people find this incredibly inconvenient. So to begin, facial recognition for me is actually not available at this point, but there are ways for you to sign up and actually do this. So for me, it's not available because I don't have a camera plugged in, so we couldn't find a camera compatible with Windows Hello Face. So once you have a camera that's compatible, you can actually sign into your accounts utilizing facial recognition. For those that don't like the type of privacy, don't like to have their privacy that overt, and I guess given facial recognition that is, giving a lot of info about yourself to Windows, some people wouldn't enjoy that. There is fingerprint recognition, which may also be a little bit much for you. And then finally, PIN. All of these are somewhat self-explanatory. For instance, with fingerprint recognition, you would just have to tap your finger and you'd be able to sign in just like you would see in the movies. But as you can see here for this as well, you would need a fingerprint scanner that's compatible with the Windows Hello fingerprint. Now there's some touch devices that enable this. However, I am on a standard desktop, so I do not have that option available to me to show you guys. Finally, the PIN, which is my favorite because it is both secure, however, it is also not too invasive like a fingerprint or facial recognition. And as you can see here, this is pretty much a de facto thing you have to do on your Windows computer these days. You need to have typically one of these Windows Hello methods connected. So, as you can see here, we have the PIN that you would basically change your PIN, or you can remove that sign-in option. But in order to remove this sign-in option, you would have to have one of these other ones now. I'm not sure if you were to set up a brand new computer if you need to have this, because in the past you didn't need to have this level of high security, but I'm about 85 to 90% sure you do need these Windows Hello options, or at least one of them on a new PC. And as I said here, you could also go ahead and do it with a security key, which is a physical key, but that is just a pain for most people. And then of course there's the sign in with password or picture password. But as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure a Windows Hello method is necessary, and these are just additional security methods. Now, given this, right, if you have multiple accounts linked to your PC, right, so if I had like 3 or 4 emails and when I signed in and I connected it with Windows Hello, it can be a problem sometimes because you might have accounts that you don't want connected to Windows Hello that just accidentally do get connected when someone enters your PIN. For instance, I had someone come over to my house and they needed the PIN just to sign into their email, but little did they know they were actually almost pretty much giving me access to their email through my PIN. So they signed in with the PIN that was on the PC, and it basically gave the computer access to that account in OneDrive, in email, in Outlook, and as I mentioned earlier, with Windows Hello, it essentially connects to all accounts, even ClipChamp. So it's important to note that when you have it connected to Windows Hello, the singular PIN that someone uses would be across the board on all Windows apps. And if you're in a situation where you want to get rid of an account that's involved in this type of thing, where you have your main account and then you have an additional account that's linked to Windows Hello now, all you'd have to do is go back to Accounts, we can scroll down here. You would go to your accounts, and then you would select the account you'd want to remove. In this case, let's say this one. You would click remove, accept, and then after that it would actually remove it from your PC. But in order for it to actually take effect and no longer have the capability of being signed in through a PIN, you'd have to simply reset your computer, and at that point it would no longer be on the PC at all. And that person, if they wanted to use your PC again, you'd probably have to go through the whole process, but ideally avoid the Windows Hello method for any additional accounts that aren't your main account on the PC. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.